Hi everyone, welcome to the session of our web series, The Fireside Chat with Champions, in which we interview global business leaders and we ask them crowdsourced questions relevant to the biggest challenge we face today, COVID-19 and its impact on business and society. We also talk about how we can steer ourselves clear of these uncertainties. Today we have a very special guest with us, Dian Noeh, the founder, CEO, and inclusion driver of Kennedy Voice and Berliner, the KVB. Dian is an entrepreneur who drives inclusion and loves canoeing, trekking, history, agriculture, and animals. She has more than 20 years of experience as public relations and brand building professional, having worked at global firms like Ogilvy, UBS, and Time International. Dian found KVB as a public relation firm with the thought that public relation is inclusive. She said, Voice of Startup in 2012 for startup founder who want to build brands and deliver content via PR and other media initiatives. Dian worked tirelessly to evolve KVB as a content company. She is also on board at Leisure International Foundation and International Animal Rescue. She is a mentor for tech founders at Jakarta Founder Institute, Global Entrepreneurship Program Indonesia, Plug and Play. She is engaged with Myanmar Tourism Federation as communication director and is visiting lecturer at Prestia Mulia Business School. She is an alumnus of our MIT University. In words of her client, Ibu Dian is a great positive influencer, an excellent storyteller, is dependable, discreet, likable, enthusiastic, and realistic in her expectations. Thank Dian for accepting our invitation. I would request you to let our viewers know a bit more about you and your current interests and activities. Floor is yours, Dian.
Wow. Well, actually, you have said a lot. I'm a bit, okay, if I tell about myself. So yeah, I've been running my company since 2011, November. I thought at that time it was in November. I thought at that time it was the right time to set up my own company after I have worked in global companies like UBS and Ogilvy. So I really enjoy being entrepreneur. I think it's now almost 9 years. It's not easy, especially now during tough time, but I like it so much because I think being entrepreneur is the toughest job that I have, but it is so rewarding also. I mean, it's nice to see how we can see people grow with our own company, our own brand. It's challenging also not challenging. It's exciting also to develop my own vision. I have to really rely on my maneuver also, rather than like when I work in other company, I can depend on the global direction, for example. Now it's really my own direction. So I'm happy being entrepreneur. And beside the challenging job being entrepreneur, I think the nicest part also is the time, because I can decide whenever I want to go, for example. I can work from anywhere. So there is this kind of wealth in time, not just financially. So I'm so happy being an entrepreneur, especially looking at how people grow. And I know that, I realize also that developing our own brand is not easy. So to me, it's really nice to develop my own brand, having the profile of our business, our company in the market, how we grow. So yeah, so far I'm happy.
That's a great introduction of yourself and you yourself being entrepreneur. So that brings us to our first question. So Dian, you know that COVID is impacting all the industries for sure and all type of companies. But when you see that it impacts startups more than the big companies, because startup generally they don't have too much of leeway to be at home without revenue and being in lockdown for so many days. And maybe for example, in Indonesia, it has been a long lockdown at the same time. Now things are improving, but still it is not even close to normal. So how do you see the impact of COVID on the startup ecosystem? Because you advise a lot of tech founders in Indonesia through various means. And we would like to understand, how do you see in Indonesia and Southeast Asia startups coping with COVID and the activities post that, including lockdowns?
I think COVID has impacted, well, both big companies and startups. And when it comes to, if we focus on startups, it impacts also on any sectors like fintech, insurtech, all those techs, including travel tech. So because the impact is really because of the changes on the consumer side also. So they are impacted. There are some like health tech that is a bit shiny during COVID, but I think most of startups have been impacted. So I think that's what I can say.
Yeah, no, you rightly said, because I also work very closely with some startups in Indonesia, and I found them getting a lot of stress and getting a little bit depressed about how the new world would be, and they would be ending. So continuing to the same question, I would like, travel and agriculture are two sectors which are very critical to Indonesia. Travel, we can understand, like, for at least in a medium term, it is going to take some time for people going back to Bali and Bandung and enjoying those beautiful hills and beautiful sea. But agriculture is something which I believe, like, Indonesia can do a lot if we can find it as a focus, because agriculture will also be the only sector in Indonesia which would be having positive growth. Rest of the sectors, we are going to be having recession. How do you see the startup ecosystem in agriculture currently in Indonesia? If you can share something on that.
Okay. I think during COVID, startups in agriculture still rising, still somehow have bigger opportunity to grow. Why? Because, well, by nature we consume the products, and I think they've been working also with logistic companies to distribute the products. So I think they are doing well, doing good during the COVID, the outbreak last time. We had PSBB. PSBB is so-called like lockdown, but Indonesia version. So during that time, startups in agriculture still doing good at that time. I think they're doing well now. Yeah. Because we just finished our best.
Some of the innovation in the sector, Indonesia has been leading that. For example, the Gojek and like companies like Hara, right, and Tani Hub. They have been done a lot of excellent work when it comes to, like, the food e-commerce as well as agriculture. So, and believe me, like, I'm a big fan of Indonesian agriculture. I myself, we have worked in North Sumatra a lot. So look forward to have exciting times in agri-tech in Indonesia. So that brings us to something which is closer to what you are doing. Any startup is about, like, the persona of the founder, right? And most of the startups sometimes ignore the right messaging, right branding, and especially branding of their own founders. How do you see that the branding helping or working in favor of the founders to make a right persona and right messaging for the startup? So what would be your views on the branding of founders and the startups?
Well, because business is about trust, credibility, and commitment also. So if the founder is profiled and the personal brand is built in a way that display or showing that he represents company with that kind of traits, like has credibility, commitment, so it's good. But if too much, so we need to discuss about the level, the amount of being profiled. But if it is too much, then it's not good, as if like he doesn't work. So it is good to profile, to build brand of the founder, as long as it is about commitment and credibility. But to some extent, when the startups company is growing, it's also good to start having other in his team to be built also, the profiles to be built also. So then people will see that the brand is growing, not rely on the founders also for the growth, because if it's like teamwork, then it shows that the company is growing. So not just because of the founder.
Wow.
But
if we have seen that, please carry on.
But again, because it's social science, sometimes we cannot really have a like fixed formula on when the startups need to start profiling other teams. So it needs to be, the situation needs to be assessed, the growth needs to be assessed, the readiness of the team needs to be assessed also. So it's like that. There is no fixed formula in communication.
Right. That's why we need advisors like you who can guide, right? Who have good understanding of those formulas. Maybe not perfected it, but still better than most of us. I also read one of your nice article about social science for tech startups, and which actually talks about the various aspects very clearly. So I would request audience to Google it and read it. It's very crisp and to the point, and it explains the ideas very well. So, Dian, we would also like to understand when we talk about today's scenario where actually there is so much onload of the content, right? So, like, everybody's on Facebook, LinkedIn, you read so many things on WhatsApp, there is a circulation on Telegram. So, I would like to understand from you that what, in your view, a startup should be doing, because sometimes startups start seeing that I am getting missed out, right? I am not posting on Facebook, but all my competition is showing that they are doing awesome. Right. So what would be your advice that how to ensure that the content becomes your one of the marketing man?
First of all, the content needs to be original, authentic, and it really sends the message of the values of the startups. Values mean like what it stands for. So we cannot just send messages just for to be seen or to be known doing something. It has to be conveying the values of the startups companies. So that's on the content. Frequency also matters. It's, to me, it's better to send messages not too frequent, but rather focus on the right timing, or on the right, or riding on the right issues, for example. So rather than just send like just send messages, better to look into which timing that is appropriate for our messages.
That's a great advice. In fact, like, I've followed a little bit of that because as our organization, we believe that it is all about collaboration and trying to help the ecosystem. And when actually we got into COVID, a lot of founders started asking me questions. And I said, this is the right time to ensure that our concept of collaboration can be taken care of by doing such webinar where I can talk to intelligent people like you and can share their views and stories so that the whole ecosystem learn out of that. So you are pretty right that it is about original content, and it is very important that you are able to portray what your organization stands for. So very excellent articulation of that. So Dian, we would like to go a little bit on your personal side, right? Dian has been into industries, working for large corporations, then being an entrepreneur, going through the grind of entrepreneur, which is definitely very difficult. We would like to understand that what the impact of COVID has been on you as a person and your organization, and how you have been sailing through it and being strong as you look today. So what would be your take on that?
Okay. Personally, the PSBB or the lockdown in Indonesia, it has given me time, actually. Time to relook at, revisit, reviewing everything in my life and my company also. The good thing, I think, I find time to set my pace again, because we've been very busy. I mean, Indonesia has been growing fast. We've been growing fast also since we found the company. So I think this year is our time to, like rethink and reviewing. So it's good. To me, actually, it's good. And I can also run every day in the morning except Sunday or Saturday. I really have time. I've been really enjoying having time to run in the morning and having con call in the garden. So I'm really happy with that. Of course, wearing mask, but it's good. On personally, I think this is a bit silly. I never watched Korean drama, but now I watch Korean drama in Netflix. Sorry, I mentioned that. So I did that. I think I use time to. I do not. I did not join a lot of online calls like like this because I feel that I want to really be like a bit silent, just I'm not saying not too much learning, but I would rather watching TV and read psychology or listening to psychologists. I have some psychologist friends, so listening to them about human, because it's now the time is about change. So I would rather than listening a lot about a lot of things, I would rather try to understand human, the basic one, what people think, feel, and feel during uncertain time. And the one that pops up always is about fear. So I learned a lot about that. I think that's what I learn and gain and experience for my personal thing, my personal side. So that's on the personal side. When it comes to and I also have time to to spend time with my son a lot. So I think that's really nice because he's now in college. In the past, he used to live next to his campus, but because of COVID, he's going back to the house. So it's good. So we spend time together, and somehow I learned a lot also. So it's good. When it comes to my company, the thing is we've been evolving. So because we've been evolving and have been trying to use technology also, I'm not that shocked when it comes to like we are pushed to use technology. So we're not shocked. I'm happy because during this COVID, so before COVID, we've been evolving. The sample what we did is we've been working with edutech startups. So we provide content for their subject. The subject is PR, for example, and marketing communication. So things that we feel we know. So that's during the pre-COVID. We've been doing that until now. During COVID, like during lockdown, we've been working with my partners. It's Weir Group. So they are developing apps for COVID, working for government, and we are the content provider. And we communicate that apps also. So during COVID, we also still doing something. And now when economy is restarting, we're doing, like people say, the new normal thingy. So we've been prepared. I restructured the team, make it more solid. We have a clearer vision of where company is going. So that's what we do. We're still we still work from home, I think forever, because I feel that it's good to work from home because anyway, what we do is developing content. So we can work everywhere. For the interest of healthy, so better if we work from home. And for environmental reason also, rather than we waste energy, we better stay at home, working at home. And I think it's less stress for the team also if we work from home, because they don't have to travel from the office from home to the office, which is the traffic is so bad. So we work from home still.
Yeah. What you have said is very critical. Look inside, right? Find yourself. That's the best time to find yourself when you are not allowed to do a lot of things. Also, I believe what you have said is a bad news to real estate because a lot of people will think like you. That's why to have big offices when you have comfort of working from home and being more productive. So that's one area which I believe because Jakarta real estate has been booming and it has been its own challenges. Then suddenly the COVID. I don't know where it is going to go, but it's not great time for real estate in Jakarta. Luckily, I have not bought anything in Jakarta so far, so maybe I'll get a good bargain. Right. Now that brings us to the last section of our discussion. Here, actually, Dian, we look forward from you some very, very pointed advice to startups so that they can face COVID. At the same time, they can look at how they can personally brand their organizations and leverage, based on your insight and knowledge, that how their role should be for creating a valuable brand for their customer to look at.
Okay. Actually, our brand, the touch point of our brand is not just only customer. Actually, to me, I look into holistic approach, so stakeholders rather than customers. That means employees, they are number one. If we want to deliver good products, we have to look into our employees first. So during COVID, what I found is, I think based on my discussion, I look into my team also. We're all just human. So we feel that it is so uncertain. I think some are worried, probably tired also working at home under the situation, because we're pushed to work at home, not like now. So I think what we need to do is looking at internal first by ensuring the team that, not ensuring, by telling the team about the situation, just be realistic. I do not want to be over optimistic despite I'm optimist. But I think under circumstance like now, we need to be realistic, saying that the situation is like this, but of course we need to move forward, just deliver our best. It is uncertain and probably strategy has to be revisited along the way, but that's life. That's how it is. And I think, but we have to have a clearer vision and tell that to our team as the economy is restarting and offices are open again. So I think this is the time that we need to clearly say again to the team on our vision, where we're going, so then they can follow us. And for those who do not agree, then they can just go. Sorry, I'm not saying that. So like that. So that's on the internal side. When it comes to consumers, of course, they need to know also our values also. But how we say it is more like consumer oriented. That is related to the product. So we need to say that. And we also have, if it's B2C. If it's B2B, like my company, our model is B2B. So I've been also saying to our clients and potential clients about what we have done during COVID, during lockdown, initial lockdown, what we will do after this as we restart. So it's very important to say that, so then we all can go and grow again together for long term. And of course, potential talents, we also need to deliver our brand to them, because we will need to hire people again for growth in the future. So rather than customers or consumers, I go for holistic stakeholders. So basically like that, and government also, like that we comply, basically like that.
That's a very great advice, and I strongly believe that I've learned a lot from you during this session, and audience would also learn a lot, because something which is very critical is that to create that trust, as you rightly said, across the ecosystem, not just your customers. So, Dian, it was a pleasure talking to you, and look forward to see you and meet you in Jakarta pretty soon. And
yes, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Have a good day.